All right, shalom, shalom. All right, before I get started, I want to give all praise and honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah Kodash. All right, the bottom, so our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. And shalom, wakasah, lahabakyar, which means peace and mercy to the elect throughout the four corners, wherever you may be. All right, I'm the brother Amar from the branch of GMS Cleveland. Coming back at you with another video, Lord willing, to be edifying to whomever may be watching. And I was watching, the elder brother Capo, who we affectionately call Capo, is brother Kapatazak out of Chicago. Obviously you see his page, Sirach 4:28, which is a beautiful scripture, by the way. He did a video, it says 22 hours ago, and I watched it, and I just want to land back off of this lesson that he did. So it says the title reads which is usually a response. It says I'm mixed. It says this is not a quote unquote black thing. All right, and then we touched on a few things in this in the lesson, and then he also mentioned how Salaki. He also mentioned about how Elder Malcolm, when he starts off a lot of his videos like that, just concerning that matter. About how Elder Malcolm says this is not a black thing, and if you've been watching or if you're a learned, individual when it comes to these scriptures, you understand that the Lord has scattered the nation of Israel amongst the heathens, and the elder brother Capo was going into it. And I just want to, like, I'm laying back off it. So we started off right here. It's the book of James, chapter 1, verse 1. It says, James, a servant of Yahweh and of the Lord Yahushai Mashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greetings. All right, greetings. So you had, all right, a men of the Lord. All right, a lot of the men of the Lord, they understood that there was a scattering of the nation of Israel, that our people was going to be in these particular areas, all right, throughout the world, literally, and they were going to get gathered, all right, even during that time, during the time of the disciples, they were going to be gathered by the word, just like now. All right, now when you see the word Gentile and it's associated with, you see the word Gentile or heathen, and it's associated with salvation. All right, those are Israelites that were behaving like actual heathens. All right, I mean, they were keeping the customs of the heathen nations that they where they were at. Like whether it was Jake that grew up in Greece, Rome, other areas of the earth. They was going to grow up and keep those customs because of the lifestyle that was surrounded by them. All right, meaning they were going to be eating the foods, wearing the attire, so forth and so on. So, let me get this other scripture real quick as well. As a matter of fact, when you look at Paul's ministry, Paul was chosen, handpicked by Yahweh Shemal Shai to go out there and preach to the Gentiles. All right, those Gentiles being Israelites. All right, that was scattered once again among the heathen nations. All right. So I believe it speaks about that actually in the book of Galatians. Let's see. Let's see something real quick. Give me 1 second. Was that what? If I can't find it, I'll just go back to the scriptures I already had lined up, but that was something that just came to my mind in the book of Galatians. But yeah, let me just get to where I was at. So this is this is First Peter, all right, chapter 1, verse 1. It says, Peter, an apostle of Yahushua Mashiach, To the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. All right. It says, elect according to the foreknowledge of Yahweh the Father through sanctification of the Spirit unto obedience and sprinkling of the blood of Yahweh Mashiach. Grace unto you and peace be multiplied. So, once again, you have another man of the Lord that was acknowledging the scattered Israelites. All right. And he actually mentioned these areas where Jake was, at. All right. So, to say, like, this guy on the screen, he said he's mixed, there's no such thing. The brother, went into, obviously that, your ethnicity or nationality is determined by your father. So whatever your father is, that's who you are. It does not matter about your mother. All right. And like I said, he went into that. So I'm not going to, beat a dead horse. But for those out there, those people out there saying I'm 10% that, I'm 20% this, and 50%. Look, bro. You are what your father is. All right. So if your father's a so-called white man, he goes back to the actual line or lineage of his forefather, which would be Esau, Edom. All right. He will be an actual Edomite. And let's say your mother is of the tribes of Israel, one of the tribes of Israel, whether she's Judah or a so-called Mexican or whatever, you will be considered a Edomite. All right. You might even have the features of a so-called black man, but it does not matter. All right. If your father's an Edomite, an actual Edomite, and your mom's an Israelite, whether she descend from whatever tribe, Judah, Benjamin, leave all the way down his car, you are what your father is. All right. And the brother grabbed the book of Numbers to prove that. All right. The first chapter, 18 verse to be specific. All right. But let me get let me see. Let me get this real quick, because we also have to remember that us being scattered is also a part of the curse that the Lord placed upon us, man. All right. Because in the kingdom of heaven, you won't have an Israelite that looks like a heathen. All right, we all, the Israelite foreigners, the speckled bird, as the scriptures call them, they'll get their actual color back. All right, in their, the natural look. All right, and that'll be that. You won't have an Israelite that's a speckled bird in the kingdom of heaven, and he looks like a heathen, but he's actually an Israelite, and he's amongst us. No, that's another purpose and reason why we will get those new bodies. All right, and that just came to my spirit as well. It's most of the reason why we're going to get new bodies. You know what I'm saying? One, these bodies are defiled. All right, and Esau, shot us up with all type of poison. We ate all type of abominable things, and we did unlawful things in these bodies. So, and these bodies are unhealthy. All right, so the Lord is going to give us those new bodies for those reasons, and two, like I said, because some brothers and sisters look like heathens. All right, but they're actually Israelites. All right, so anyway, so this is another scripture going into the strangers. All right, or the where it talks about the scattered. Let's see, Slacky. Damn, I would say I know I just had that. Ah, shit. Okay. All right. Well, shit. Damn. Would give me 1 second. I have to look. I have to look through this real quick. I'm gonna get this though also because I have this other scripture that that I have prepared. I'm drawing a blank here, man. So shit. Forgive me, man. It gotta be the 57 then, man. Hmm. Shit, I might have to look this up real quick, man. In 1 second. Yeah, it's 64, man. Fucking tripping, bro. Salaki, man. So this is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 64, man. It says, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people. It says, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. It says, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. It says, even wood and stone. So there you go. Our Lord says He's going to scatter us among all people, from the one end of the earth even to the other, man. So you're going to have Jake looking like these heathens, man. All right. And then the brother even mentioned like certain wars that took place, and this and the third, where Jake was actually in these wars, where it was World War I, World War II, Korean, the Vietnam War, or wherever Jake was at, and they actually was in these lands. All right, what do you think Jake did? Jake, went over there and procreated. All right, so like I said, and then brother mentioned, like I said, the concept of the scattered Israelites is very simple. It's not nothing that's deep, like, because in the scriptures you have something called milk. All right, and then you have meat. All right, the milk is the, like, the fundamentals, the simple, the more simpler breakdown, should I say? All right, like the basics, and then the meat of the scriptures is like the more heavier portions, to where it might be a little tougher to digest, or break down. I like things like reincarnation. You know what I'm saying? Um, the mystery of the Gentiles. Yeah, that's because not everybody understands those things. All right, stuff like that, man. But you have to understand, like I said, if you do not understand the scattering of the Israelites, you won't be able to fully grasp what the scriptures are talking about, because that's pretty much what the New Testament is going into. It's going into the gathering of the Gentiles, the Israelite foreigners, all right, that were in these particular areas, and they will be preached. The disciples went into these land masses and preached the gospel, and then the ones that received the gospel, adhered to the gospel, and received it, those are the Israelites. All right, same thing now. All right, so you might have an Israelite that looks like a heathen and come up to the camp, and then the scriptures talk about, and let me get that real quick. Let me get that real quick, man. All right, 1 second. Give me 1 second, man. Yep, this is First John 4:1. It says, "Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of Yahweh, because many false prophets are going out into the world." So you have to try the spirits, man. All right. And how do you try the spirits of Yahweh? How do you try the spirit? All right, there's certain things that are going to resonate with the individual when the Bible is pretty much being read. Are certain things, characteristics, and things that the Lord instilled into the soul of Israelite. He'll, like I said, it'll resonate with him. All right, when reading these words of the Bible, Israelite that looks like a heathen, he or she will come to the understanding that they are Israelites. Now, with that being said, just like you have Jake that don't look like a heathen, but they just look like regular Jake that are Israelites. And not every Jake receives this, though, because the Lord is only giving it to a certain group. I mean, it's a certain number on this side. So let's say if you have an Israelite foreigner, he or she looks like an Israelite, and you preach to him the word, and they might not receive it. You can't be like, oh no, he ain't receiving. That's a heathen. Like, no, he obviously he's a Jake, but he's a 2/3, so you can understand. Um, so let me get this real quick, man. I'm reading in my Bible, like the actual book. So I said you got to turn on pages. So like I said, just bear with me. This is Psalms 44 and verse 11. It says, "Thou hast given us like sheep appointed for meat, and hast scattered us among the heathen." Once again, the scripture is talking about a scattering of the heathen, man. All right. And like I said, man, there's way more scriptures I can go into, but like I said, you get the point. You know, we've been scattered among the heathen, man. So we're not going to look like, we're not going to look like, like the typical Jake. You know what I'm saying? So you might, like I said, you might see a Israelite, and he doesn't look like it. He or she doesn't look like an Israelite. That's why I say you got to try the spirit, man. All right. So, pretty much hit the point, man. With that, I'm going to give our praise and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Rakakadash, and double honor to our apostle, Israel, Millstone, and Shalom.